Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Australian Online Supercar Champion. You are tuning in to round 15 tonight, the Interlagos 150. And your commentary team tonight is myself, Bernie Weemers, and Daniel Leet. Welcome Daniel, it's another night of V8 Supercar action.
Yeah, good evening Bernie, and to everyone tuning in tonight. Looking like we're going to be in for a really good race. 40 plus cars so far out on track and qualifying just underway, so I'm looking forward to a really good one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an awesome one out there tonight, and as you said, 41 cars have joined the server, and it's definitely going to be hotly contested. Looking at the pre-qualifying, they were setting some pretty good laps out there too.
Yeah, definitely. Generally, we're seeing most of the guys sort of running around that minute 33-ish time. I think obviously being qualified, the fuel comes out, the tyre pressures go up a bit more. I reckon low 32s, maybe a high 31 possible tonight.
Okay, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We see one of the ERT cars going off at the end of the straight into the wall, but they'll get that repaired and straight back out. But let's have a look at tonight's event, and we'll go through a couple of the pointers here. So it's round 15, as we said, coming to you from Interlagos. Basically, what we're looking at here, Daniel, is 75 litres is the limit. Track race length, 34 laps tonight, and incident limit 25.
Yeah, so general sort of standard run-of-the-mill race we'll see tonight, just a short sprint race, 150k race, so the boys will be in for about one stop, should take tyres most likely. 25 limit incident around this place, hopefully they shouldn't get near it, but there are a few little areas where if you push a little too hard in a couple of corners you can easily rack up a one time, so hopefully we see the low end of that, but if they do hit that 25 limit there'll be a post-race penalty applied.
Yeah, and of course we've got the random safety car coming out during this race, and because it's a sprint race I think we only get one, don't we?
Yeah, generally just the one random safety car, but obviously if there is a big wreck in the opening few corners or on the first lap, they will pull a safety car there and you'll get another random one a little bit later on, but they want to try and keep the racing fair for everyone involved, and I think it's a smart way to go.
Yeah, it certainly is, and what we saw at Monza, of course, was a big wreck as was predicted going in towards the first chicane. Safety car came out, but at that point I thought that was it for safety cars, but another random safety car was called later on in the race.
Yeah, and Monza's one of those tracks you typically expect a first lap safety car, the big braking session into the first chicane, where everyone's going down their full pelt. You normally tend to expect it, especially with the size of the grid that we had last week. So hopefully for Interlagos it's a little bit easier getting through turns 1, 2 and onto that quick little back straight there. So hopefully not, but we do know if it does happen we should get something to recompress the field and get everyone back involved.
Yeah, definitely, and it always adds to it, doesn't it? Brings in a bit of strategy, recompresses the field, and makes it entertaining for all. But let's have a look at the point standing now. So we'll bring that up, the non-endurance point standing we're looking at, folks, because it's a sprint race tonight. So Marlon McMullen is leading on 2,755 points. Second is Dane Warren on 625. And Dane was closing, but there's no way he's going to catch Marlon at this point.
No, it doesn't look to be, and we're starting to sort of get to the business end of the championship now, so Marlon's doing everything he needs to maintain the lead. There are a few guys a little bit further down, obviously Brian Borg, Thomas Hins, Riley Blythe, those guys around the 300 point range in a little group there, which is good to see. I don't think they're probably going to get to Dane in second, but Dane potentially could get up into first if he plays the card right. We know he's quick at every track we go to, so look for Dane and Marlon to sort of be the class acts of the field tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and the Monza race, Dane was leading, but he made a mistake on pit strategy, would you believe, which cost him the race. And Marlon did not make that mistake, inherited the lead, and that was all she wrote for that round.
Yeah, and it's a very easy thing to do. I know last week I jumped into one of the official races. I had the same issue. Ran at a lap or lap and a half short on fuel and conked out on the last lap. So it is a bit of a guessing game. Obviously, the guys have the ability to use Z1 software or JRT to sort of help assist in that. And the amount of laps they put in, they know sort of roughly where their fuel burn is. But everyone's trying to get it down to that last little litre of fuel and save what little bit of time they can in the pits to sort of make that gain up on the track.
Yeah, that's right, and basically, if you didn't see that round, folks, basically what happened was the safety car was out pretty early, and the guys were balking whether they should come in under safety car and whether they could make it home on a tank of fuel. And Dane, I think Pete Sattler was another one, stayed out, and of course there wasn't another safety car, and they had to come in under green. And of course, as soon as you do that, you're going to be monstered. Time-wise, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It is one of those short risks. It's a short-term game if you can get it in the pit lane. But if you have to pit under green, any advantage you may have got is completely wiped out the window, and you've got to start from scratch again.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a look at the overall drivers' standings, because basically, if you're wondering, folks, we've got the non-endurance championship standings. That is the sprint rounds. We've got the team championship standings, which is the endurance rounds, and then the overall drivers standings is basically both of them put together. So it's fairly straightforward. Mullen McMullen, PSS1, he's leading 3,550 points, and Dane Warren for All Stars Motorsports on this table is down 972 points, and it's pretty much the same story, isn't it, amongst these teams? PSS1 looks pretty safe, very safe in fact, but looking at All Stars and ERT, there could still be a bit of action coming that way.
Yeah, definitely, and don't discount Laser Racing again. Yeah, Brian Borg's he's under 10 points behind Riley Blythe in the overall standing. So he has a good round here. He could quite easily jump into third, and only being 300 points off is not that far behind Dane in the grand scheme of things either. So look for Brian to sort of have a pretty good run. We know he's quick generally, and Laser Racing are a team that generally tend to fly under the radar as far as we don't see them a lot on the broadcast, but they're very quick, their cars are very stable, and they know how to get the most out of the tyres in the long run. Yeah,
and we'll definitely keep an eye on them tonight, that's for sure. But I'm thinking, Daniel, we should really cut across now to Nick Hausler, who's got one of his lukewarm laps for us to cover tonight.
Yes, definitely. Can't go wrong with that. Nick does a great job. Obviously, for all who know him, he's the series organiser, and he puts on a great little demo presentation for us all.
He certainly does. So we're going to cut across now to Nick Hausler for the lukewarm lap, and then we'll be back to discuss race strategy.
Well, once again, welcome on board 015 Stealth Simsport FG Falcon. Preparing for round 15 tonight of the AOSC. We're down to 4 rounds to go, and without checking on the R&Rs, if I'm correct, we're unable to drop any of the races from now on. So tonight we've got 34 laps around this 4.3 15 turn track, which is pretty good track for the V8s, I reckon. But if you suffer from mid to late corner understeer around here, you're in for a very long night and some pretty shitty front tyres by the end of it. As we just go out on our warm-up lap, as we come around to the final set of turns, around there, turn 11, we sweep down here into turn 13. You can run it out very wide here, and you can also take a fair bit of the apex, a lot more than I just did then, to get a good run up here. Now, if the car's all warm and the setup's right, you can almost hold it flat through there without chattering your teeth a little bit on the grass on the outside. As we come across the start-finish line, Very interesting turn one. I've got a bit too deep there. You can turn in fairly late for that, which sort of leaves the dive bombers a pretty big incentive to go down the inside. But as we come through the centre S's onto the back straight, once again, that's if you've got mid-corner or late corner understeer, then you're going to struggle to get a good run down this straight, which is an overtaking opportunity as we come into turns 4 and 5. Got to be very careful on the outside there. Very easy to get it off track. And you can run it fairly wide out there. As we come into this, I guess, for want of a better term, the infield complex, with a couple of hairpins that once again you really want to be able to point the front of the car in there and then drive it out. You don't want to be dealing with understeer as you're coming out of these corners. As we head up to the second hairpin at turn 11. Just feather the throttle around here, run it right out wide. See if we can take a fair bit of the apex. Yeah, you can take more than that. And on the long climb up the hill of a very long period of wide open throttle as we head down to turn 1 again. So I'm guessing the quick guys will probably be going around in about 35s here tonight. So we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching, and now it's back to Bernie and the crew at RRTV to finish up the orders. Start us up on the broadcast. Thanks, guys.
So that was Nick Hausler doing the lukewarm lap, folks. And I apologise, there was no background sound on that video, but at least you got to hear Nick's great voice talking you around Interlagos.
Yeah, and main point we spoke of just before we rolled to Nick's lap, turn 1, and Nick quite evidently pointed out there it is a very easy place to make a either a late dive bomb or mess up pretty easily, and it's really good for the way Nick does these, for the viewers to be able to see it and sort of get a good idea too of what goes on there.
Yeah, he does a lot of work, doesn't he, behind the scenes. Not only does he run this series and drive in the series, he also puts together all the overlays we use, as well as the video each week. So yeah, he does a great job.
Does a fantastic job, and you know, to any series organiser that runs any of the great leagues and championships that you know you the viewers can get into, where us commentators can help drive and promote, the amount of work that goes on in the back end is absolutely massive.
Oh, it's huge, absolutely huge, and we've got the top 10 qualifying up at the moment, folks. So Dane Warren, he's on provisional pole, 132.376. Mullen McMullen looks like he is on second at the moment with a 133.048. Jordan Ross sitting in third. Pete Sattler, he's looking like he's sitting in fourth at the moment. Thomas Hinds fifth. Ross Rizzo sixth. Mitchell Kolak, I think it is, with a 133.527 in 7th. Jaden Borg in 8th. 9th, Brian Borg, and rounding out your top 10 is Shannon Mason.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking top 10 so far. Dane looks to be again the class of the field, 7/10 up in qualifying at this point in time, so doing everything he needs to try and claw back in on those 2 championships as well. But a guy that we haven't seen racing this series a lot, or actually for a little while now, Mitchell Solak, as you just mentioned, jumped up from 8th, I think it was, up into 3rd with his last lap at 133.1. So watch out for Mitchell. He's generally pretty quick in this car, and I think it won't take him very long to get the cobwebs out and get up to speed as well.
Yeah, he's sitting in the pits at the moment, so we'll see if they actually come out. We're having a look at Jordan Ross for the Synergist in Racing. He's on a flying lap now, currently sitting in 4th, and he's going to see if he can improve. The target he's looking for, if he wants pole, is a 132.376. His best time a 133.118. So his next target, 133.048.
Yeah, there's not a lot to gain a spot or 2 so far in this championship. A 10th of a second is all you need to jump 2 spots, but to get back up towards Dane, 8/10 of a second is no mean feat around this track, especially as Nick pointed out in the video. It's very easy to overcook the front tyres and lose the grip. So you've got to be very confident with how you drive these cars. You've got to have a setup that's on point as well. So it will be a big ask for Jordan to probably get up to maybe match Dane, but he can certainly jump into second if he's on it.
Yeah, we'll wait for him to come across the start-finish line, and then what we're going to do, folks, is have a look at our pit strategy for tonight, and we'll see what sort of pit window the guys have up their sleeves for this evening. As we can see now, Jordan Ross coming on to the main start-finish straight here. He's pretty much very slow lap indeed, and does not improve.
Yeah, it looks, he didn't have an off track, but yeah, as you mentioned, 9/10 off his optimal time so far. That's a fair way back, and it might have been a slow lap just to build his tyre pressures, and this will be the one where he actually really puts into it.
Yeah, we've got a minute to go, so let's cut across and have a look at the pit strategy here, Daniel, and we'll pretty much go through it. So as we said in the pre-race, laps here tonight, 34 laps, total distance 150 kilometres on this circuit. Now we pretty much said earlier the tank size limit on the start 75 litres, and total stops required will be 1. Now having a look at this pit strategy, do you want to take the viewers through that strategy?
Yeah, so we're going to see effectively two options that the guys can sort of attack the fuel strategy for this race. We've got a very large fuel window between laps 11 and 23. Going with how Nick sort of described in that opening lap, I expect we're going to see a lot of guys really trying to pit towards the back end of the fuel window, just so they've got the best tyres to finish out this race and gain every spot they can. I reckon, given how many we've got on track at the moment, which is up around the 40 mark, a lot of your lower end guys, if they do avoid those incidents to begin with, are probably going to come in early, try and gain a few spots there, but it's a big window for these guys to have a play with.
Yeah, it certainly is, and compared to Monza, the window was very, very small, so the guys will probably feel a bit more comfortable here. They've got a lot more leeway as far as race strategy goes tonight.
Yeah, certainly do, and adding to that too, they've got the safety car as well, so if it is a mid to late race safety car as well, the guys coming in towards the back end of that window are probably really setting themselves up for the best chance of getting a win. But having said that, I mean, safety car, it's random, it can come out wherever, and 40 odd cars barreling into turn 1, anything could happen.
Oh, definitely, and we saw that at Monza, didn't we? And we can see Thomas Hinz out there. He was in the trucks last night, did pretty well, but he swaps them out and jumps in the V8 Supercar. He's qualified 6th tonight, and Ross Rizzo, he's coming across, his teammates coming across now to finish his flying lap, and he does improve, but he does not move up any further than 7th tonight.
Yeah, it's not a bad time by Ross, and Thomas. I mean, he, like I said, he's in and out of cars every day of the week. I'm not sure how he finds the time to get on top of each one, but to pull in a time in 6th, be a little bit quicker than his teammate, and Ross is quick. Don't get us wrong there. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he certainly is. Another one doing a great job is Jamie McKnight in the West End Mazda entry. He's currently qualified, well, he has qualified in 12th. So I've been noticing as the season goes on, he's been moving up through the field, and if all goes to plan, I think he could expect a top 10 finish tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think looking at a few other names we got up there, Brian Borg, consistently quick. Jaden Borg can be very fast in that Stelson Sports entry, starting in 9th tonight. Pete Sattler, very quick, and a couple of the guys have already mentioned his livery in the chat, so he's running a new RRTV style livery as well, so that looks quite nice. But pretty much any of the guys in that top 15, if they play the cards right, could definitely get up there and challenge for a good top 10 finish.
You can see Henry King at the moment. He's out there just warming up the tyres, so to speak, as one could say, or practicing his drifting. He's qualified in 22nd tonight, so he's going to have a lot of work to do in that Zuva entry.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not where you want to start. And I know we've seen it would have been a season ago now in the Sim Racers Asia Series. We had a massive crash from that far back in the field that wiped out a lot of cars. So the guys starting back there are definitely going to have the eyes on and look at what's going on around them.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got the field gridding up now, so let's go through the grid so you can see where your favourite driver will be starting tonight. So Dane Warren takes pole position. Keep an eye on him tonight because he's the only one in the 132s. Marlon McMullen, he'll start next to him in second. Mitchell will start in third in the second row. He's joined by Jordan Ross starting out of fourth. Pete Sattler, he'll start in fifth tonight, and he's joined with Thomas Hinds starting next to him on the third row. In the fourth row, we have Ross Rizzo, and then starting out of eighth is Shannon Mason. Out of ninth tonight is Jaden Borg, and he's got Brian Borg starting right next to him. Out of 11th is Matt Morris, and Jamie McKnight, he will start out of 12th.
In 13th tonight, we've got Kyle Stokes alongside Sean Thompson. Wayne Taylor starting in 15th next to Mark Turner. Jacob Knight and James Scott in 17th and 18th. Brett Loxton out of 19th. Craig Jones tonight starting in 20th. Paul Preston out of 21st. Henry King, as mentioned before, out of 22nd tonight. David Miller starting out of 23rd, followed by Daniel Trim in 24th.
Out of 25th it will be David Kinmont, and then we've got Matt starting out of 26th. Stephen Varga, he'll start in 27th, and he's joined by Brenton O'Brien starting next to him in 28th. Jordan McDonald will start in 29th. 30th is Nick Hausler. Alex Greenwood, he'll start out of 31st tonight. Damien Charleston will start in 32nd, followed by Shane Rayner and Daniel Vassell. Starting out of 35th is Darryl Wright. And then we have Colin Bruns in 36. Out of 37th tonight is Martin Carroll, and it looks like we're about to go racing. So the revs will be rising now, folks, and just waiting for the start. We can see the field, and we're off here and racing for round 15 of the Australian Online Supercar Championship. Nice clean start, but I'll tell you what, Marlon is taking it to Dane, isn't he, as they go too wide into turn one.
Yeah, Marlon got a great start. There's a bit of a wreck there at the back. Who was that? That had Pete Sattler involved in that, but Dane Warren done a great job to get around to the start there.
Yeah, we'll go and have a look at that in a minute, but at the moment it's Dane Warren. He's managed to take the lead. Marlon McMullen second, and he's coming under pressure from Mitchell here. And who's that in Synergy? I think that's Jordan Ross.
Yeah, that's Jordan Ross just behind. Mitchell got a great start, had a really nice run down the back straight there. Mullen got the jump and was up the inside through turn one, and Dane did an excellent job also holding on to the outside of turn one and getting a really nice shot through the second corner and onto the back straight.
Yeah, well, Marlon knows exactly what he needs to do, doesn't he? And that is he needed to try and win that start, because if he can get in front of Dane, he's got control of the race. If he doesn't, Dane's just going to run away with it, and then he's going to be hoping that he makes another mistake. But let's jump back and have a look at this incident to see exactly what brought out the yellow tonight. So we're coming back to the start here, folks, and you can just see the cars starting to concertina up here, and it was always going to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it's a bit of a hard one to sort of judge. It looks like Thomas Hinds sort of got a little bit wide through turn one, maybe didn't quite get his brake markers. Pete's jumped in to the which has then put him into the middle, which he's then contacted with Thomas Hinds, and that sort of started a big chain reaction to the rest of the field, and Pete got collected. I think it was Shannon Mason just behind him. So from there it sort of all hell broke loose, and we had a lot of cars that were spinning to the outside of the track, but we kind of expected that might potentially happen at the start of this one.
Yeah, and the car that we saw rolling back there, folks, one of the Waxit entries, that car's not going to be going anywhere until they use a fast repair. That was a 085, and that was Sean Thompson. So very, very nasty start there for Sean. The 784 also involved in it, and then this continued on down onto the back straight here as we see one of the KRF cars getting all sorts of wrong there and hitting the wall on that back straight.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just looking quickly down through the field just to see sort of where some of our front runners that got caught up in this have ended up. And Shannon Mason started out at 8th. He's dropped all the way back to 40th. Sean Thompson, as we mentioned, from 14th back to 41st. Who else have we got involved in this one? There's been quite a few. There's been a few big movers as well. Jake Maloney up from 41st to 31st. So a few going up, a few going back, but yeah, not what we wanted to see at the beginning of this.
No, well, check out Brett Loxton here. He's crabbing down the back straight here, and in the KRF entry, he's just trying to stay out until he can bring that thing in with the pit window opening, but I don't know how he's driving that, because it's sitting at about a 30-degree angle.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a fun car to try and get home. He's doing a great job just to sort of, he spins out there, but he's doing a good job trying to get that thing home.
Yeah, and we're on board here, just so you can see. I'm predicting he's going to have, wow, look at him working the wheel, and he's probably, how fast do you reckon he's going? He's doing 78 kilometres an hour, and he's driving it like he's on ice.
Yeah, it's he's pushing very hard to sort of get back up into position, but I wouldn't like to be driving a car with that much angle down on the steering wheel.
No, we also saw Stephen Varga. He exited stage left at the end of that straight as well, but he didn't take any damage.
No, so it'll be interesting just to keep an eye on all the guys that we do see come in to repair damage. I'm expecting we're going to have at least 10 cars thereabouts probably come down the lane, take their fast repair, which makes it a very tough race from here on out to not bend your car any further.
And meanwhile, Dane's trying to work out how he can mount the Porsche there, and he's turning the Porsche into a hybrid V8 supercar, as you do. But just having a look as the field goes further back, we do have some cars coming into the pits already, but I'd say they're more coming in to get those things serviced from that incident.
Yeah, definitely. We got looks like Pete Sattler's come down the lane. Who else have we got in there? Yeah, Brett Loxton, as we mentioned, has come in. Jake Maloney's come in.
Just having a look down here. Sean Thompson definitely will be coming in. He's the one we saw in the wall, and he's got a heck of a lot of damage here. And I tell you what, this is not the way you want to start any race, is it? He dropped 27 positions in that incident, and he's currently back down there in 41st.
No, not what you want at all. We only saw 6 cars come down the lane there, so we had Pete Sattler in there, Brett Loxton, Jake Maloney, as we mentioned, Sean Thompson, Shannon Mason, and looks like Martin Carroll also came down. So not quite the 10, but 6 is still a fairly decent number.
Yeah, it certainly is, and as you're saying, those drivers, a couple that had to get towed back. Darryl Wright in the 68, he had to get that car towed back to the pits. He's currently sitting in 39th position, and he's only dropped 7 positions, so he's still he can recover from that.
Oh yeah, definitely. One guy I'm surprised didn't actually come in was Wayne Taylor. Just looking at his car, he's got a lot of rear end damage on that. It's missing a front fender and no rear boot and wing, so that'll be a bit of a handful later on. I'm somewhat surprised he hasn't actually come down for repairs.
Yeah, well, we saw this last week at Monza, and the guys had cars that looked exactly like that, and we were commenting about how they were just going as fast as a beautifully straight car in front of them. It does not seem to bother these cars at all, and I think we've been talking about that all year, haven't we, about the beautiful iracing physics that are applied in these cars.
Yeah, definitely. It's a weird thing. I mean, you'd expect a real life situation that something as quick as these and heavy as these without a boot spoiler would be quite a handful and light up everywhere, but for whatever reason they seem to gather more grip and go even faster.
Yeah, one of the viewers have also commented that Dane's actually driving in a Ford tonight.
That is different, because traditionally we've seen Dane in a Holden, so maybe he's found something a little more to his liking in the Ford, or being able to use that little hump in the bonnet as a bit better reference point for something, maybe a brake marker or somewhere, but yeah, it's certainly different.
Yeah, a lot of guys use that front bonnet scoop to know where to position the wheels. That was one of the tricks someone told me anyway, whether it's true or not. But here we go, 32 laps remaining. We're underway once again here at Interlagos. You can see Dane Warren, he leads the pack back into turn 1. down into the centre S as it's 4 wide behind them. And hold your breath, are they going to get through this time? No, they do not. One of the cars spins, and fortunately it looks like everyone else stayed out of trouble.
Yeah, it was a bit of a hairy one there, 4 wide into turn 1. I don't quite know who that car was that spun, but good avoidance from everyone else to be able to get around it.
And there's more smoke up ahead. We've got a couple of WB concreting cars off as well. That's Danny Trim was involved in that incident, and David Kinmond. Now his car is trashed, and he's going to have to try and limp that car back. Big incident here for the West End Mazda entry.
Yeah, and I'll just jump back. Looks like it was Brian Borg that we actually saw spinning out of 6th place on that restart, so he's not going to be impressed with that one, and that's not going to help his championship either.
Yeah, we're just having a look at what happened to Kinmond here. They were 3 wide. Trim got caught up in the middle of the 2 MFR cars, and the 555 heavily into the wall there, and that's going to be an interesting debrief, because the MFR boys are, as far as I know, they're a feeder team to the main group there, who was in the middle of them.
Yeah, that'll be sure there'll be a few words after that. Maybe a late race protest on that one, but hopefully now everyone's sort of getting underway. The gaps are starting to widen out. I think the racing should just settle down a little. Everyone get into the stride. We should see some good racing moving forward.
Yeah, I also saw a car parked on the inside there. It looked like they'd blown their motor, but I didn't get a number, so we'll try and get back to that. But back to live pictures now, folks. We've got Dane Warren leading in first, Mullen second. He's under a lot of pressure though from Mitchell. I think it's Kolak, and then fourth is Thomas Hims. Jordan Ross, he rounds out our top 5.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent start from the opening group. They're about 3 seconds covering these guys now, and Mitchell's really starting to apply the pressure on the back of Marlon here, and for someone we haven't seen racing a lot, he's got back up to speed very quickly of late.
He certainly has, as we jump on board with Mitchell now, and just see how he can try to make a move on Marlon. I guess, he's going so close. He's really got to get a really good run out of the final corner here, and try to get on that draft, I think, to make a pass into turn 1.
Yeah, definitely, and just look for a late dive, especially into turn 1. He's got a nice little run there, so he might actually get this done well beforehand now.
Yeah, he got a brilliant run, didn't he? And he made that move very easily. In fact, Marlon better watch himself, because Thomas Hims is right on his rear bumper now, and it's starting to threaten. But this is a great battle pack for second, third and fourth.
Yeah, sure is. Thomas got a phenomenal run out of that. Marlon's back up the inside trying to force the issue, but it's going to be hard for that position to sort of get back around.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we're looking from the bumper cam now, and you can see Marlon's car working its way back onto this back straight. Just have a look and see if it closes in under the slipstream. It doesn't really at all, so Marlon's going to have to work out another way to try and get this position back.
Yeah, Marlon maybe looks a little stronger under brakes at the moment. He was able to close that gap up just a touch there, but Mitchell's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. He knows how to drive the car well and make it as wide as possible. And we've seen traditionally from TTL in V8 Scops and other series that they normally run in. They're a very quick team, so he might just be taking the time, get those tyres up, and probably start building a bit of an advantage and going after Dane soon.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? While these guys are fighting, Dane's out there just doing what he does best, and that's pretty much hot lapping. And his previous lap, a 1:32.988. Again, he's the only guy in the 1:32s as it was in qualifying. And Mitchell's time was a 1:33.931. We did see Marlon, and he came under pressure and lost that position. And his time was a low 1:34.325. And he's not hanging on to Mitchell at all, is he?
No, not much now. It'll be interesting to see, give it a couple of laps and maybe see if those times do start to stabilise. But Thomas is very quick as all these guys come through back into the 1:34s. So maybe the tyres are starting just to drop a little bit of a grip now as everything starts slowly coming back into the right line.
Yeah, and I tell you what, one thing that Marlon will probably be quite relieved about is the fact that Dane started off pretty late into this season, didn't he? And if he had started earlier and made these runs, I think he would have been a real threat to this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a totally different picture that we're sort of talking about now and seeing as far as points and racing's going. But Marlon's doing everything he needs to do. He's been extremely consistent this whole championship, and from what we're seeing, consistency is what wins this. You don't have to go out and win every race, and we know Dana's won quite a lot of them with his speed of late. But Marlon's just making those points and still holding a quite comfortable lead on this championship.
Oh, exactly right. That's all he has to do, really, doesn't he? Is, as you said, be consistent, which is his hallmark in this championship, and it's his. I don't think there's really anyone that can threaten him with 4 rounds to go.
No, not unless he doesn't turn up. But other than that, no, I think he's probably got it in the bag quite comfortably. And just watching a little battle still behind him. He's still got Thomas Hinds and Jordan Ross having a good go at it, especially in those tighter hairpin sections in the middle of the course.
Yeah, we've just got them on screen now, and it's a great battle pack between those three. Then further back, Jamie McKnight, he's, we were saying he would be looking at a top 10 finish tonight, and he's up 5 positions, sitting in 7th, and he's trying to round up Matt Morris for 6th position here.
Yeah, good drive from both of these two. They started in 11th and 12th respectively, Matt Morris and Jamie Knight, so both of them are progressing forward, especially after those few issues, so doing everything they need to do, but they're closely matched on track at the moment.
They certainly are, and you can just see Jamie there on the static shot, right on the back bumper now of Matt Morris and starting to put the pressure on. Well, Matt's run wide here. Thought he was going to go and do I forgot the name of that guy that went into the wall there for Formula 1. That's how forgetful I am.
Oh, we should all remember that. That was Lewis Hamilton, the world champion. So even the best can put it off into the wall there. But you can just see the difference in lines you can take through that section. Matt Morris was a little bit wider on entry, but got a good drive. Jamie's pushing right up to the edge on the inside to use up as much curb and shorten the track distance.
Yeah, so these guys are having a great battle, and then if we continue down through the field, there's battles aplenty down here. We can see Ross Rizzo at the moment. He's fighting with James Scott. James Scott's up 9 positions at the moment and sitting in 9th, so he's also another one that's really benefited from the start of this race.
Yeah, definitely, and I've just jumped a little further back behind this battle. We got Henry King, Matt Lapoitov and Craig Jones, and who else is that? Paul Preston. These 4 are right on each other. You can pretty much hardly separate them.
Yeah, and they're rubbing panels there, aren't they? You can see the PRA car getting a run on the outside there, just behind the Zuva entry, and it's an angry pack, this one.
Yeah, definitely. I think a few sheep stations will be put up for grabs here, but Paul's doing a really good job. Just got up the inside there of Craig Jones in the way south entry, so that's a good little move there. He's got Matt Lapoitov not far behind him, and Jaden Borg, who started in 9th. He's sort of fallen a fair way back in this pack. James Vassell in there, Steve Vargas, so good little front train of cars now having a good red hot battle.
Certainly is, and they're going to have that battle to the end of the race, I'd say. As we can see now, Stephen Varga having a look on the inside there of Vassell. Vassell got an awesome run, didn't he, on the 97 up to the inside of Jaden Borg, too wide. Yeah, these guys aren't holding back.
Not at all, and you know who's probably licking his lips over all of this is Pete Sattler just behind him there in the RRTV car, which actually we had a few viewers notice earlier in the race. Started up in 5th, dropped to 19th with those issues early on, but he's just watching as these guys battle and run into each other, and will progressively move back up this field.
Yeah, we just saw Vassell there almost get turned by Varga, and he's dropped a lot of positions because, of course, he's lost all that momentum out of the final corner. So far, he's down to 20th. He's got Jake Maloney now all over the back of him. Brian Borg's coming in here as he goes on the inside, goes defensive too wide. Very messy entry by a couple of the guys, but he does hang on as McDonald and Thompson got into each other.
Yeah, it's a little bit messy all round. Everyone's pushing as hard as they can just for that little spot, and I'm sure we're going to have a few more cars get put into the wall sooner rather than later at this rate.
Yeah, we can just see, oh, that was a bit of a messy entry there by Sean. I'm not sure if he got a helping hand there or not.
Yeah, I don't think he got a touch. It looked like he did it all on his own, got the rear brakes and skated across the front there, and very good awareness from the guys behind not to sort of get brought into that, but Sean will be not too impressed.
No, that's definitely a slide job, that one, but he was fortunate that all the guys checked up and didn't get cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that could have been very dangerous.
Yeah, and right behind him we've got the 55, that's Shannon Mason. He's fighting with Wayne Taylor in the 69, and that car, he's decided he doesn't need that rear wing on it, and this is pretty much what we were saying earlier. Have a look at the way this car handles compared to the cars around it, and yeah, that's one hell of a good aero package.
Well, yeah, it's just going to help at the top end, but it's not really losing anything as far as grip, so iRacing maybe need to come to the party and sort out something with the physics side of things there, but Shannon's got himself a lot of work to do. Started out at 8th tonight, dropped all the way back to 24th after those earlier issues, so not the night that those guys would have wanted, but you know, Shannon's pretty decent. He'll get his way back up if he gets a chance.
Yeah, meanwhile up front, folks, the reason we haven't been focusing on our leader, if we bring up the top 10, we'll see the gaps here. So Dane Warren, he's out 4.4 seconds over Mitchell, and then Mitchell's got a gap of 3 seconds over Marlon McMullen in second. Marlon is still coming under pressure though from Jordan Ross for that third position, and then Thomas Hines is about 5/10 down. So this battle back's continuing between these three, but then there's a big gap of 5.7 seconds down to James Scott in 7th.
Yeah, very big drop off between James and Ross versus Thomas Jordan and Marlon there. Marlon seems to be looking to become the cork in the bottle, with these three. His last lap time was about 3/10 slower than what we saw from Jordan and Thomas, so might be having some issues with tyres, and looks like, who was that? Jordan Ross just went up the inside of him there.
Yeah, that's Jordan in the 143 going to make a move here, and what's Marlon going to do? Is he going to let him have that position? He's fighting it now. He has to concede that Jordan's going to take that position, but of course that's made him vulnerable now to Thomas Hines, who's got a good run on him.
Yeah, it certainly has. Marlon's going to have to start looking at maybe a change in driving line or a bar or brake change, maybe to sort of sharpen that car up a bit more. But if you've missed the setup by just a fraction here, it does tend to hurt you further on in this run.
Yeah, and that could be what we're seeing. But I tell you what, he made Jordan work for it, didn't he? It took him quite a few laps to affect that move.
Yeah, it certainly has, and another thing now to keep in mind with these guys, and we mentioned it in the pre-race, is the pit window now has opened effectively. Last lap it opened up, so we'll need to pay close attention to see where these guys look at maybe starting to filter in, and soon we know we're probably going to get a safety car any time now, and it'll be interesting just to see what these guys decide to do on the strategy front.
Yeah, and that'll be at the back of Dane's mind, that's for sure, because this is what Monza looked like last week, and up until that missed opportunity of the pit stop, which pretty much cost him that race, and Marlon snapped up the win for that round, but no doubt he won't be making the same mistake twice. As we see now, Thomas Hill's throwing it on the inside of Marlon McMullen. Marlon almost loops it there, and he's in no position to fight that.
No, Marlon's really struggling on the balance now with this car, and he's going to need to think of something to get him home. I think he'll still try and push out the stop as late as possible, but he's maybe going to need to drop the incoming tyre set maybe down a little bit, maybe sharpen that rear bar just to get a bit more point on the nose.
And no doubt he'll be thinking about all that, what he can do, and of course they can make those adjustments in the car, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. All this can be done on the fly within the car. A lot of guys have it set up to little buttons and maps on their wheels now. We know how good the hardware is getting, so they can make all these calculations on the fly. They can see on their dashes how much they need as far as fuel's concerned to get them home. So all these things will be in their mind. They might even have a few crew chiefs there sitting on board and sort of helping them through this section as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a few of them do have crew chiefs out there helping them. It's getting to the point where you really need to be looking at that if you're up the pointy end of these fields.
Yeah, absolutely. These are a sprint round, so everyone's trying to get that last little tenth there, but any little advantage you can gain on a stop is only going to equate to more time on the track.
Yeah, exactly right. And I tell you what, it's a lot easier to make moves in the pit lane than it is on the track. That's for sure. So if you can save, half a second and jump someone, then that's could save you a lot of laps battling them.
Absolutely. It looks like I just saw one of the Stealth Sim Sport cars. Looks like Jaden Borg's taking the opportunity. He's coming in for his stop now, so that's very early on, and will make it a little harder to get him home at the end. But he's starting to play the cards now. Yeah,
Shannon Mason also followed him in there for his scheduled stop. If we have a look at the cars that have made their scheduled stops here, folks, Jake Maloney currently sitting in 15th. He has done his stop, 5.8 seconds, very, very early, so I'm not sure if he's going to get home from there. Sean Thompson had to also take a stop to get his car repaired from that first lap incident, so no doubt he will be back in again. So did Martin Carroll. Pete Sattler's also been through the pits, as has Brett Loxton down there in 26th position. All these aren't really for scheduled stops, are they? They're for pits, but the safety car is out now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. So potentially we're going to see Shannon and Jaden actually maybe jump to the head of this field if everyone looks at coming in now. They were just in that lap prior to those stops, so very interesting to see how this will play out for them.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to bring up our pit strategy here. We're basically the pit window's opening up from anywhere from lap 12 up to lap 34 by the looks of it.
Yeah, so I will generally about lap 11 to, 23 is probably that ideal window where everyone's going to come in, but for a lot of the guys who we mentioned earlier, Jake Maloney and Sean Thompson, Martin Carroll, those guys are definitely going to have to stop again. They came in lap 1 or 2 when we had that wreck, so look for them to come in again at this point. But I think even though he's made 2 stops already, Jaden Borg actually could filter his way back up pretty high in this field, but he might hurt a little bit further on as this race goes through.
Yeah, and we're 14 laps into this race, folks, so the pit window has opened about 2 laps ago. So in theory, most of these guys should be able to fill it up and get home from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'd be mad not to, because we've seen what happens if you don't pit under yellow. Unless you can get a massive lead, you're absolutely going to get hammered when you have to come in under green.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be interesting to see who is that. Just somehow we've got Shannon Mason, who did come out a little. He stopped earlier with Jaden there. He's actually come out just behind the safety car in front of Dane Warren there, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that could have worked out at all, really.
No, he's potentially going to need I don't know whether they'll give him a wave around as a result of that, or how they're actually going to sort that out, but he's just maybe timed that stop just a little bit wrong.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's a bit confusing, isn't it? Because technically he's almost a lap down, but if he stays out and they all pit, does that mean he's leading the race?
No, because he'll still have to get a full lap, and that's not going to happen. I imagine that they'll probably look at waving him around. I think there's a bit of chat going on here a moment, so hopefully they'll wave him around, reset the field, and he should be right.
It looks like they may have done that now as we see the field coming in, and let's get to the blimp cam, because I would say, as we were predicting, just about the whole field's coming in, but this is going to really hurt Shannon, isn't it? Because while he's held up behind the safety car, he cannot benefit from that early stop that he had with Borg.
No, and it looks like he's just been allowed to let go to get around that, so he should be fine now to get on the trail of this once everything cycles through. Not where he wanted to be, but he'll get back around on that lead lap. And a lot of guys have all come in. I think that's pretty much the entire field has come in and done. And Jordan Ross has actually managed to get out first by the looks.
Yeah, well, Jordan Ross, Marlon McMullen got past, so did Thomas Hinds. Dane Warren had a very, very slow stop indeed, and he's dropped down to about 4th position by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's a big move from Marlon and those guys behind him to have jumped Dane Warren and Mitchell Silak. That's huge.
Yeah, well, if we look at the times that these guys did, Jordan Ross 15.2 seconds, Jaden Borg sitting in 3rd, 18.6, Marlon McMullen 14.1 seconds, Thomas Hinds 16.4 seconds, and Daniel Vassell 17.5, but Dane Warren 19.1 seconds. So yeah, that's cost him that big lead that he had, hasn't it?
Certainly has. Maybe overcompensated a little more on the fuel than he needed after those issues at Monza, but look, we know how fast he is now. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in traffic, but I expect he'll get back up the front pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, he's in a far better position here than he was last week, that's for sure, and it's going to be very exciting actually to see how he does go in traffic. We generally see him out the front, but no doubt he'll be just as handy racing in traffic as he is leading these races.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm going to be very interested to see how this field all cycles through once it's done. I'm wondering, are we actually going to have, we might even have Brian Borg actually in the lead of this race.
Yeah, well, we do at the moment. We'll have a quick look at our top 10 before we go back to racing. So Brian Borg's going to lead them away, followed by Jordan Ross, Jaden Borg sitting in 3rd, Marlon McMullen 4th, Thomas Hinds 5th, 6th Dane Warren, 7th will be Ross Rizzo, Mitchell Silak out of 8th, 9th Daniel Vassell, 10th Brenton O'Brien.
Yeah, I just see we got the confirmation there from Daniel Williams. It was a little extra fuel just for safety measures, so I think he'll still be pretty comfortable. We know how quick he's been, on average about a second of a lap quicker than everyone else.
Oh, exactly right. No need to panic whatsoever. I just think he's still in a very good position to take this win tonight. But it's going to. I think it's actually a good thing he's down there in 6th, because it's going to make it more exciting for the viewers.
Yeah, so here we go. We've got the green flag now, so we'll just keep an eye on how these guys get back underway here. We saw a few spinners last time round, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so Brian Borg leads the field into the corner 1. You can see further back though, Marlon McMullen, Thomas Hinds side by side, Dane Warren already over at the back of them, going on the inside of Hinds at 1 position up by the looks of it, and he's tucking in behind Marlon McMullen. We saw Jacob Knight running very wide on the exit there, but he gathers it back up.
Yeah, I'm just watching as everyone filtered through. It looks like Martin Carroll maybe got an off track or something. He's very slow on the back straight there, so something's gone awry there. But yeah, much better restart for everyone.
Well, I think there was a big incident because we're under yellow again, and we'll jump back and have a look at this, because I'd say that's we've missed something big.
Yeah, definitely have.
So we've jumped back to have a look at Martin Carroll here, and yeah, he's had one of the RRTV Falcons. He's just he just did not get up to speed. I don't know if the incident happened earlier, but he's just way off the pace.
Yeah, I'm not too sure at all what's happening. That was very interesting, but I wouldn't mind finding out what's gone on there.
Yeah, well, we've jumped further back. His car's actually straight here at the restart, so we'll keep an eye on it, because it's all gone wrong. The Zuva Henry King, he got into one car that had netcode. I'm trying to get a better picture of this, folks, which, he was turned around, and Martin Carroll right up into the back of him. And big incident. I'm trying to get the names of the cars, and it's still going on behind there.
Yeah, I've just managed to find. It looks like one of the way south cars. Who was that? That was Craig Jones. Actually hit the tyre wall. A bit reminiscent of the old Larry Perkins Bathurst issue. But yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, well, if we have a look at the incident, we're going to have a look at Henry here, and Craig. Craig actually had he was blinking at just before they made contact. Now I'll go to slow mo and we'll have a look, because he just blinks just before Henry gets to the side of him, and I think that's what's caused this impact. So just having a look in the back there, you can see just there the contact, and from the other camera view he actually blinked, but then you can see Martin Carroll into the wall behind him. He got served by Henry, of course, and I think one of Henry's teammates in the other Zuva entry was also involved in this.
Yeah, it's very weird the way that's all gone about, because I don't see what's actually hit Henry there. That must have been a lot of netcode for that to have happened.
Yeah, well, they weren't. It sort of, from the angle I saw it, Craig had just flashed, and it looks like when he reappeared, they had the servers decided they've made contact.
Yeah, very interesting. That it's going to be something that the race students will definitely have to sort of sort out after this race.
Yeah, definitely, and that's going to pretty much mean everyone can get home here. But some of the guys that have not stopped, Brenton O'Brien hasn't stopped, so he's got a get out of jail card here if he wishes to take a stop now under yellow. He can do that. The other one is Troy Allen in the 105 has also not made his pit stop yet.
Yeah, so a couple of guys may be really running this fuel strategy out late, but that will hurt them now that all the field will compress as well.
Exactly right. We can see one of the KSW entries now just coming out of the pits after taking service, and he'll rejoin this field. But looking at this restart, we'll have a look once again at our top 10 folks. So Brian Borg once again will lead them off. Jordan Ross will start out a second. Jaden Borg third. Marlon McMullen fourth. Dane Warren, he managed to make... Oh, we've got a car in the wall back there. And I'm not sure what's going on behind us, but under yellow, one of the cars has hit the wall. Dane Warren, he made that move on Thomas Hines just in time to grab fifth. Mitchell Selak is in seventh, Ross Rizzo eighth, Daniel Vassell ninth, and Jake Maloney, he'll round out our top 10.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Everyone will reset now and we'll get going. And one thing we should do quickly, we haven't done it for the race yet, so a little bit sorry to the sponsors. Must mention what these guys were fighting for. It's that awesome next level F1 GT/GT simulator rig that's been put on by Pagnium and Next Level Racing. So massive thank you to those guys for doing it in conjunction with Nick Heusler and the guys in the AOSC. We've mentioned it a lot of times in other broadcasts. All the guys in this championship are fighting that out, and they can win additional points for having good race finishes. Driver of the day, which you and I get the pleasure of calling out, and yeah, at the end of this championship, one of these guys could see an awesome looking rig sitting under the Christmas tree.
Yeah, definitely valued at $699, and the good thing about it is it doesn't go to the winner of the series at all. It goes to the person most deserving of it after Pagnian Imports, goes through the top 5, gets them all to submit to them why they should have that rig, and then that choice is made, and of course we'll call out the winner of that in the final round here just before Christmas.
Yeah, so it's awesome for the guys to be able to have a chance at getting this, and like you said, everyone here is in with a shot of winning it, and they can do a few things to get some bonus entries. Good drive of the day, you and I get to call that. Low penalty counts, clean races, so really goes to a well-deserved race winner, or end of series winner.
Exactly right, and if anyone out there needs any race gear, go over to pagnianimports.com.au. They've got Fanatic gear, Thrustmaster gear, they've got Next Level Racing simulators, and much more in stock there. It's probably, I would say, the biggest importer of simulation gear in Australia.
Yeah, it certainly is, and just like that, we're back underway here. Brian Borg's got a nice little jump there. over Jordan Ross. Jaden Borg just there. Mullins pushing through again. Same with Dane Warren as well. So everyone's back on the loud pedal now.
Yeah, another incident we just saw there, and I'm just trying to work out who that was. But it's a bit of a messy restart. The 31 is back in trouble again and in the wall. And Craig Jones, no, I think he was all right. We'll jump back and have a look at this.
Yeah, if that was the 31, that's Shane Rayner involved in that one there.
Yeah, the 31 was very slow getting underway here, but I think the incident actually happened further up.
Yeah, I'm not too sure who was involved in that, but while you look at that, I'm just going to have a jump back up the front here and just see, because we've got some great 3 and 4 wide action up the front here. Dane Warren managing to get his way through. Mitchell Silak's pushing through as well there with Mullen. He's right on the back here, looking to gain a spot. Who's he fighting with? Jake Maloney there. So some really good battles going on here up in this top 10.
Yeah, we're jumping back to live pictures now, folks, and once we had a look at that replay, it was a 666 of all numbers. Damien Charleston looked like he was involved in that incident, and one of the RRTV cars, that was Pete Sattler. He's definitely decided he wants to dent that car tonight. He was involved in it as well, and I think might have been Tom Britton might have also been involved in that.
Yeah, Pete's done a good job on getting a few dings on that car tonight. He's been in a few issues, but he'll settle down and go again. But right up front, we've got an awesome battle starting to shape up here with Brian Borg and Jordan Ross. Jordan's working really hard on the rear bumper here.
Yeah, we're just having now a look at Dane Warren making that move, and he's side by side here with Jaden Borg. He jumps up, he gets it a bit crossed up here, and hangs on, but Mitchell Silak now all over the back of Jaden Borg in the sim-spec entry, and he wants to make that move.
Yeah, he sure is. He's giving him the old Morse code on the rear bumper there, trying to get him out of the way, and Jaden's doing a good job here. He's making that car pretty nice and wide, and not going to make it an easy move for Mitchell to get past. He's got every right to do so, as it looks like Mitchell's going to fire it up the inside.
Yeah, but Jaden's going to hold him out there, and as they go too wide, coming into the final corner here, what's Jaden going to do? He's decided he's going to tuck back in. They don't really want to be compromised on that corner, because if they do, they're going to miss out on their top end speed, and they'll be sitting duck, as now we see Jake Maloney all over the back of Jaden Borg, getting the run here on the inside, having a look. Is he going to do this under brakes?
I think he'll quite comfortably get it under brakes. I think Jaden will probably let him go. We saw Jaden, one of the first cars to come in, so maybe the tyre life is still up there, but I don't think he's quite got the car pace tonight to sort of take it to the boys up the front.
He did put up a bit of a fight, but he wasn't going to fight too hard there. And if we look at who's behind him, though, is Marlon McMullen. He's down there in 7th. And I'm not sure what happened to him, because he's a long way down.
Well, yeah, we saw that once the pit stops did take place. We saw a lot of the front runners tend to find their way further back, and that's partly what sort of helped Brian Borg, Jordan Ross, and those guys actually jump so many spots. But now we're starting to see, as the gaps are starting to increase, these quicker boys are starting to move their way back up the field.
Yeah, but if we have a look at Dane Warren, he was jumped by a lot of those guys. And all of a sudden we've got Marlon McMullen down in 7th, Dane Warren's up in 2nd, and now he's fighting for the lead again.
Yeah, I would expect Dane, we'll probably see him back up within the next lap, but if you look at the times, last lap by he did a 1:33.6. Jordan Ross and Brian Borg comparatively, then first and second, did 1:33.52, 1:33.56, so massive speed difference around this circuit between those three drivers at the moment.
Yeah, well, it was well over a second, wasn't it? Or about 1.5 seconds. We're riding on the roof cam here with Dane now, and as he closes right up under brakes, Jordan Ross hard under brakes there, the back end just skittering around slightly, but you can just see Dane definitely has this race under control, and it's probably just a matter of when he makes this move.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like Mitchell's probably the closest on outright pace at the moment that can keep it up with Dane, and he's probably got a little bit of trouble here at the moment just trying to get past Brian, but I think he'll probably dispatch a Brian pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we saw there Jordan Ross down the back straight there flashing his brake lights. I think he was just giving the signal to Dane that he wasn't going to fight it, and Dane went up the inside and took back the lead.
Well, that's it. That's a smart move. You're not going to compromise yourself or the potential leader of the race at that point in time. And if you've got a quicker car you can let go and sit in the draft, it's only going to help you increase your overall pace as well. Yeah,
well, that's exactly right. And yeah, it's a very smart move there, I think, as you said. And we can see now the 0-3. That's Mitchell Searlack. He's fighting it out with Brian Borg. Looking further down, Jamie McKnight at the moment sitting back in 10th. He's still up one position from where he started, but Jacob Knight, he's the mover after that restart. He's up 8 positions and sitting in 9th.
Yeah, so doing a really good job. Biggest mover of the night so far has got to be Jake Maloney though. Currently sitting in 5th, up from dead last and 41st. So Jake's not hanging around. He's certainly getting the job done.
Yeah, certainly is. 36 positions he's up. That's incredible. And we've only run 23 laps, so that's a couple of passes every single lap.
Yeah, absolutely. He's about to put another one on Brian Borger, who got a nice run through turn 1 and 2. And looking as they go down the back straight here, I think he'll just be able to get on the brakes just that touch later and force Brian a bit wide there.
Yeah, and we just saw that move. Brian's going for the undercut, but he just did not have the traction there to do anything about it. But this is an exciting drive from Jake Maloney tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is. He's doing a great job. And just going to the little battle just behind them, you've got Thomas Hinds, who else we've got in this? Marlon McMullen and Jaden Borg. These 3 guys are going hammer and Tom. Most of them went too wide through the first part of this section.
Yeah, you can see Thomas there on screen. And further back, as you were saying, Jaden Borg, Marlon McMullen, they've got their sleeves rolled up now and starting to fight pretty hard for that 7th position.
Yeah, Mullen will want to get back up to the pointy end. We saw him, he started out a second tonight, did sort of fall a little bit back further as just makes contact there with Jaden and may redress that situation or that'll be looked at later on. But Mullen needs to get a bit of a move on, keep adding to those points for this final championship run.
Yeah, we're just having a look at the replay of this as Marlon just got in the back of the 94, gave him a tap, and it was just enough to unsettle the 94, but we'll see if he actually redresses that or if he decides that was a fair move.
Yeah, I think the move was probably on. He didn't sort of ruin his race at all, just sort of pushed him wide, but that did open the door there for Jacob Knight to get through, and he's just taken that position. And who have we got right behind him there? We got Jamie McKnight as well, so Jacob Knight and Jamie McKnight pushing through pretty quickly.
Yeah, they certainly are, and you can see now Jamie trying to make that move on the 94. He's going to be on the outside here as he comes into Hamilton Bend, as we'll call it, and 2 wide through here.
Yeah, it's not. You don't want to be on the outside at all. It's you're very late to pick up the throttle in that section, but if you can hold it through here, he's actually going to get a really nice run through this left-hander after that hairpin.
Just trying to get our cameras on. Oh, look at that for a view. Made me jump. We're actually on the inside of the 94. That's how close those guys are racing.
Yeah, this is a great battle at the moment. 2 wide through 2/3 of this circuit. So I don't know who's going to give it up. I assume Jaden will probably let him go through this final corner, but this is phenomenal driving from these 2.
It certainly is, and yeah, I think Jaden did the right thing there. He basically let him have the corner, got the undercut, and now he's getting that draft to make that move back.
Yeah, it looked like Jaden got a really nice run. He did have to lift a little, and now you can start seeing that gap widen, but he certainly got the traction out of those slower corners to keep up.
He certainly does, and just seeing through the gearbox cam there of Jaden there on the back of Jamie. No contact, but it was getting close, and he's just letting him know. But look at how Jamie McKnight gets the traction down I think Jaden's struggling quite a bit with his car. Of course, it's carrying a lot of battle scars.
Yeah, he's almost rubbed off that Next Level Racing logo on the side there, but look, it's what you see in these cars. You can run hard, you can push on each other and still get through. And Jaden will probably make a couple of changes. He's pretty smart with how he drives these cars, and I think he should get a little bit more driving in it if he looks at softening up that rear bar, which he probably will do.
And meanwhile, up front, Jake Maloney has just taken Jordan Ross for third position. He's up 37 positions now. He's starting to hunt Mitchell Selak. And I tell you what, looking at his times, he's the fastest driver out there at the moment with a 1:33.745.
Yeah, that was a cracking lap last time by probably three tenths quicker than what we saw from Dane. So certainly got a lot of pace in that car. I think Dane maybe is slowly backing it up a bit, but he's doing everything he needs to do to take this race home with about 8 laps to go.
Yeah, that's right, but the question is, can Jake actually get past Mitchell and try to round up Dane? Because I tell you what, if Jake wins this tonight, it's going to be probably the drive of the month, if not the year, as far as RRTV is concerned.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be very tight. I think Jake's going to have to sit back and watch. His total stop time was only 14 seconds versus the guys around him at 19 seconds. So I don't know that he's got the fuel on board, and if he is able to hold that draft, it's only going to help him, but I don't quite see him having the legs to get it home.
Yeah, we'll see what sort of a time he does this time by. His last time through, Dane Warren did react, and he did a 1:33.916, and Jake was a 1:34.402. So we'll just see how this goes. It's very exciting, that's for sure.
Well, it certainly is, and you can pretty much find a decent battle going on all around this circuit at the moment. I've just dropped back here to, we've got Jamie McKnight, Jaden Ball, James Scott. Just behind them, we've got Jacob Knight, Daniel Trim, Daniel Vassell. So 7 cars here within about a second and a half, and all having a ripping battle at the moment.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we can see James Scott on screen at the moment, up 7 positions, currently sitting 10th, and he's going to have to watch his mirrors because he's got Jacob Knight behind him. But meanwhile, he's having a cracking battle here with Jaden Ball.
Yeah, Jaden's a good clean driver. Obviously, he got a bit unlucky there with the hit before, but consistently up inside the top 10 in this championship as well, so doing a really good job. The car looks pretty decent considering it's got that bit of damage, but the traction at the moment seems to be looking pretty good on Jaden's car.
Yeah, I was just watching that then, and James got it a bit, spun the wheels up on exit there, but all of a sudden now Jaden Ball, he's starting to come back. I think he's done some adjusting on that car, and he's happier with it, and he's starting to monster Jamie McKnight.
Yeah, sorry, I just jumped back a little bit further just to see if there are anything else going on at the moment. But yeah, I think these 3 at the moment are probably our closest battle on track.
Yeah, we've got one here, Henry King now making a move on Brenton O'Brien, and it's the battle of the walking wounded out here. Of course, we saw Henry in that big accident. He's used his fast repair as he goes up on the inside of 26th now, and Brenton didn't fight that. He pretty much let him through.
Yeah, that was a good pass there. Brenton's now got Dave Miller up behind him as well, so that's going to be interesting to see how that little battle unfolds. But no, great move there from Henry just to put it up nicely on the inside and force his way through that hole.
You can see now Brenton is starting to get rounded up by that's David Miller there on the outside, and we'll see if David can make the move, if Brenton can hang on to this, and then we'll jump back up to the further part of the field. But that's David Miller, David Kinmont trying to go up the inside of Miller, and as they go too wide through the centre S's here.
Yeah, we've got Wayne Taylor starting to find this battle as well, so he actually took a quick repair in that round of stops. You can see he's got the rear wing back on that car as well, so moving forward pretty steadily. He's up. He's down actually 4 spots from where he started, but he's getting into a good little battle now.
He certainly is, and he went wide there, folks, because he's actually got on the inside of him is David Kinmond there in the 555.
Yeah, David plays the card for it. We saw it earlier on with Jaden, where you can have a really good 2-wide battle through this section of the circuit, and looks like he's just let that one settle through there. Who else was going up there? Stephen Varga and Henry King. That's turning into be a good little battle. I think Henry's got himself another spot here as well.
So let's jump back up to the front. It's getting a bit spread out here, but Jake Maloney's still trying to round up Mitchell here, and maybe he's decided he's going to have to conserve to get this car to the end.
Yeah, if he's conserving, he doesn't look like at the moment. He was the quickest guy on the track last time by, just under thousandths of a second quicker than what Mitchell Selak was there. But if he's got the fuel on board, he's sitting in a pretty comfortable spot now.
Yeah, well, if he does have enough fuel on board, he's going to be lighter than the other guys ahead of him, I'd say, because we know Dane overfueled just to make sure he had that buffer. But we'll see in the next 5 laps if Jake actually does have enough fuel to get to the end here, or if he's going to have to splash and dash it.
Yeah, and we might actually see a little bit of traffic start coming into play here. We've got Troy Allen just in front of Dane, so that could be potentially something they're going to have to watch out for in the next lap or two.
Yeah, definitely, and just having a look at the cars that have retired from this race. Just having a look further down. Yeah, we can see Nick Hausler's car. He's pretty much in the pits. It looks like Matt Morris has called it a night. Timothy White, Kyle Stokes, Darryl Wright, Colin Bruns, and Paul Tajavara did not start. Just looking further back. Well, it continues on, doesn't it? Okay, so from 31 back, they have retired, starting with Tom Britton. Just some action while we go through this. Sean Thompson's retired, Mark Turner, Jordan McDonald is still in the car but not moving. Brett Loxton, Shane Rayner, Nick Hausler's still trying to get that car repaired, but he won't be out tonight. And then, as I said, Matt Morris, Timothy White, Kyle Stokes, Darryl Wright and Colin Bruns.
Yeah, so quite a lot of retirements. As you mentioned, 13 so far out of the 43 that turned up tonight. But I'm still having a good watch on this battle. We just see Troy Allen stepping aside and letting Dane Warren, Mitchell Selak and Jake Maloney get through there pretty comfortably. So smart driving from him just to stay out of the way.
Yeah, we're just having a look here. The 018 and the 094, that's Jaden Borg on James Scott. They're still going too wide here, and that was good driving there by James Scott. He held Jaden Borg out and held on to that position.
Yeah, doing very well. There's a few guys just sitting behind here having a bit of a watch. We've got Danny Trim, Jacob Knight. We might even see Daniel Vassell get back up into this little battle pretty soon. Looks like we could have 6 cars going at it again.
Yeah, he's not that far behind, is he? And of course he's trying to round up Jacob Knight, and Jacob Knight is trying to round up Daniel Trim. It sounds like the leg bone's connected to the arm bone, because then we've got Jaden Borg versus James Scott, and Jamie McKnight is the one at the front of this train.
Yeah, it certainly is. So these boys are still going very strong at the end of this race. I'm keeping a close eye up the front. We've still got a half a second gap here between Dane Warren and Mitchell Selak, so that hasn't changed too much, but Mitchell's really starting to close in on Dane at the end of this race.
Yeah, I was just having a look at the comments, and yeah, fair enough. We'll continue on calling this race.
Yeah, so it looks like we got about a tenth and a half here between Dane and Mitchell at the moment. That gap's really come down at the end of this race, and Jacob Maloney, if he does have the fuel on board, sitting pretty comfortable here to take a nice third, maybe second in this race as well.
Yeah, well, if the front two here start fighting, he's going to be all over him, isn't he? And well, he's not that far behind, but we'll see how this unfolds. 3 laps to go. Is Dane Warren going to win it? Mitchell Seelak or Jake Maloney? It's still anyone's guess at this point.
It certainly is, but these 3 are the only guys at the moment inside the 133s. Everyone else is down to a minute 34 or mid 35 at the moment on circuit. So these 3 are definitely the class act at the moment.
Yeah, I was just watching as Jake came up. The start-finish straight there. He just doesn't have the power now to compete with these guys. If he's worried about fuel, you can just see he's just dropping off the back of these 2.
Yeah, but still, quickest guy out on the track last time by. So whatever he's doing is enough to keep him in. But that gap between Dane and Mitchell is down under 0.2 of a second. So it's getting very exciting up front now.
Yeah, well, what Jake's doing is he's making me eat my words, because I'm looking at him on track. I swear he's dropping off these 2, but then he's coming up with the fastest lap.
Yeah, not sure how he's doing it, but Mitchell's setting himself up for a nice spot on the outside. Not quite in position yet, but he's just letting Dane know he's interested to get past here.
He certainly is, and we'll see what he can do now. He's just sitting on the back of Dane here, a couple of car lengths, and see how he goes up onto the start-finish straight. I guess, Daniel, if you were in Mitchell's position here, where would you be looking at trying to affect a move?
Well, I'm not quick enough to be in Mitchell's position, but from the racing side of things, I reckon you'd be looking up where you can get a bit of 2 wide action, up through where Hamilton went off in qualifying there, and that whole back end of the track, you can literally run 2 wide. So if you can get the move up into that, I think that's probably your best chance of getting a lead here.
Okay, well, again, they're spreading out a bit here. Dane got a really good run off the last corner, last lap here, and I tell you what, I think Mitchell is not going to get an opportunity here. He's trying to close in. It's 0.7 of a second was the gap at the line. He's about 3 car lengths behind, and you can just see the car there squirming under acceleration. Dane's car looks far more planted, and Jake Maloney's run has come to an end. Yeah,
I think Jake's just nursing that car home now. It looks like Mitchell locked the brake, and he's looking a little ragged towards the end of this race at the moment now, but that final corner onto that front straight is where he seemed to lose all that time, and that gap's really extended out.
It certainly has, and it looks like once again Dane Warren is going to take out the Australian Online Supercar Championship round, and this will be round 15. Interlagos 150 is going to go to Dane Warren in the Rack Corp entry.
Yeah, great drive from Dane. I was getting a bit nervous. You start calling it, we don't want to put the curse on him yet as he gets a wiggle there, but no, Dane drove phenomenally well. Saw him come back through that field after those round of pit stops. Yeah, phenomenal effort from him. Mitchell Seelak, great drive up into second. Jake Maloney, got to be probably driver of the night, 41st to third. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at that, because that's Jordan Ross. Where is Jake? I can't see him on my screen. Has he already jumped out?
No, he's already gone through. He's having a bit of an expression session here with Mitchell Seelak by the looks of it. So those guys have all crossed the line. Jordan Ross is through. Brian Borg's home. Thomas Hin's got there. Marlon McMullen come home 7th, so good haul of points into the championship for him. We see Jamie McKnight got home in 8th. James Scott in 9th. Jacob Knight home in 10th, so don't know what happened at the end there. Jaden Borg actually dropped quite a few spots down to 13th, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll go through the full results very shortly. We'll just see the rest of the guys as they finish the race. Martin Carroll comes across to the line now. He's 30th. Probably a race he'll prefer to forget, I'd say. Yeah,
definitely. Martin had quite a few issues in this one. I have to go back and have a look, but I think he's made close to 3 or 4 stops this race.
Yeah, and he started in 37th, so the night wasn't looking too flash anyway at the start. He managed to go up 7 positions.
Yeah, so not a night that he would have liked, but it's good to see him back out having a run. We haven't seen these STC cars out here for quite a while, so it's good to see these guys making a bit of a comeback out in the racing world.
Yeah, we can see our race winner, of course, is Dane Warren, as he's coming back onto the start-finish straight here. Fantastic drive by Dane once again, and I'll tell you what, I was a bit concerned on that pit stop, but he cut through that field pretty effectively.
Yeah, certainly did, and when you've got the speed that he had there, especially with Mitchell and Jake, those guys are always able to find their way back up as that goes on.
Yeah, definitely, and hopefully the viewers out there have enjoyed our coverage of the AOSC. If you did like it, folks, just give it the thumbs up. To really appreciate it. If you didn't like our video, leave us a comment so we know exactly how we can improve our videos and our coverage so you'll enjoy them more.
Yeah, definitely, and it's great to have the amount of viewers we've got on there. We normally see a lot of questions get thrown up, so thanks to these fellas for coming in and having a watch.
Yeah, it's always fantastic, isn't it? And the guys in the chat channel, it's always great having them in there. They pass us information, and it's always good to see what they're talking about there, as we see now Marlon McMullen out there celebrating his 8th position. But while we see the shenanigans going on here, let's go and have a look at the final results. So Dane Warren takes the win tonight. If we look at how many laps he led, it was 27 out of the 34. Mitchell Selak comes home in 2nd position. Jake Maloney has to get drive of the night, up 38 positions to come home in 3rd. Jordan Ross 4th. Brian Borg, he comes home 5th, up 5 positions. Thomas Hinds, he pretty much finished where he started in 6th. Marlon McMullen, he dropped 5 positions to come home in 7th. Jamie McKnight, good drive by Jamie tonight, finished in 8th, up 4 positions. James Scott, also another great drive, he started 18th, finished in 9th. Jacob Knight, he moved up 7 positions as well. Daniel Vassell, another big mover here, up 23 positions to come home in 11th. And rounding out your top 12 is Henry King, who was up 12 positions.
Coming home in 13th tonight, we had Jaden Borg, followed by Daniel Trim in 14th. Stephen Varga, who we saw having some good little battles there, home in 15th tonight. Wayne Taylor come home 16th, followed by David Miller. Ross Rizzo, Daniel Kidman, and Brett O'Brien coming home in 20th. Matt Lepoidovan home in 21st, followed by Pete Sattler, Shannon Mason, Alex Greenwood, Damien Charleston, and Jonathan Coe home in 26th.
Yeah, home in 27th was Paul Preston. Then we had Troy Allen in 28th. 29th, Craig Jones, Martin Carroll in 30th. Now we're getting into our retirements here. Tom Britton classified 31st. Sean Thompson 32nd. Mark Turner 33rd. Jordan McDonald classified as 34th. 35th went to Brett Loxton. Shane Rayner classified in 36th. 37th was Nick Hausler. 38th, Matt Morris. Timothy White classified in 39th. Kyle Stokes 40th. 41st, Darryl Wright and Colin Bruns in 42nd. Paul Tarjavara did not make the grid.
So what do we think of that one? 42 cars taken to the field tonight. That was not too bad. We did see a lot of retirements, but there's some very good racing going on tonight.
There's some awesome racing going on there. The pit strategy came in and they all jumped Dane there, but then he cut back through the field. But I tell you what, I would have loved to have a cockpit cam or a gyro cam constantly in Jake's car, just to see how he got through that field tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and he would have made quite a move up. Obviously, we had a few issues on a couple of restarts there, and I think we ended up with almost three safety cars now, so not probably the best, but those issues helped him, no doubt, jump that many spots for this race.
Yeah, definitely, and no, it was brilliant driving, that's for sure, and I'd definitely be nominating him for Drive of the Night tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think it would be very hard to go past. That's a huge move, and short of the Enduros, I don't think we've seen that many positions gained in a sprint round.
Well, no, that's more than one position for each lap, and we had 12 of those laps pretty much under yellow. So, yeah, massive move there, up 37 positions, I think it was.
Yeah, I've got it 38, so might be a little bit of margin of error in the telemetry, but yeah, that's a huge result.
Oh, massive. So I'm just having a look in our green room. We do have a number of drivers in there for interview. Going to try something different tonight, Daniel, and that is we'll bring them up, ask them 3 questions, and we'll rotate. So you'll do one interview, I'll do another interview, and we'll get through these guys like butter on a hot Sunday morning or something.
Yeah, no worries. Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, so who do you want to talk to first?
Let's get Borgie up here. It'll be interesting to see how he went for his race tonight. G'day, Borgie. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Great race tonight. How did you find everything out there?
Pretty hot, but interesting. Yeah, it was just a battle of survival on those restarts, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to try something a little different tonight. We're not going to get you up here for a huge, long interview. We've got 3 hot questions for you, mate. First question. How'd you find all the time in the pit stop? Come from a long way down, grab the lead. What was the move that got you up there?
I had a spin on the restart, which put me down the back, and then come at the last corner, someone lost it and hit the side of my car. So I went into the pits on lap 14, 2 laps before the safety car came out, and that's how I got all my time. I didn't pit after when the safety car came out.
Fantastic. Question 2. Did you find a big drop-off in setup? I know Nick in his pre-race mentioned there would be a lot of issues, especially with front tyres around this circuit. Did you have a big issue with that?
In the race, no. The car just got better for me, but in qualifying, yes, I had a lot of drop-off in qualifying.
Excellent. And final one before we get a word from your sponsors, mate. Best battle of the night that you had?
Had a good battle with Jake Maloney coming through the field, and yeah, at the end as well. That was my best battle.
Fantastic, mate. Well, congratulations, home in 5th tonight, up 5 spots from your starting position at 10th. So congratulations on that. Before we let you get out of here, though, we better get a quick shout out from all your sponsors on board with yourself and the Laser Racing boys.
Yeah, just Laser Racing, plumbing and electrical with all they do. Check them out on their website. Yeah, and just thank you for the team for helping out with the setup and stuff. So yeah, thanks guys for the broadcast. Excellent job.
Fantastic, mate. Congratulations again. Top 5 result, and we'll look forward to seeing you back again next week.
Yes, next week, Phillip Island.
Fantastic. That was Brian Borg there, coming home in 6th position. Our next interview is with Henry King. He came home in 15th, and we'll have a quick chat with Henry. Welcome to the RRTV Combox here, Henry. I want to just go back to that first restart, if you don't mind. That contact you had with, I think it was Craig Jones. It looked like there was a netcode or server blinking issue that caused that.
Craig bounced off the fence because we were nearly 4 wide, I think, and straight into my path.
Okay, yeah, because when I looked at the replay, there was just a slight blink on our cameras anyway, just before that contact. But that looked like a pretty nasty accident. Did you want to tell us a bit more about it?
Oh, it was pretty quick, to be honest. The more annoying part is I actually missed my pit bay just prior to that, which dropped me 5 spots. So if I didn't do that, I would have been well in front of Craig.
Okay. Well, it's still a good result, though, up 10 positions from where you started, coming home in 15th. How did the rest of your race pan out?
The first stint was brilliant. Honestly, other than my pit stop and that big incident, it was pretty good. I had Maury from SSR in my ear, keeping me in the zone, you could say. And 20 spots from the restart to where we finished. Pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's an excellent result, that's for sure. And before we let you go, did you want to give a shout out to your sponsors?
Definitely, mate. I've got to give a shout out to Zuva, of course, if you want a cheap domain name or a bit of website hosting. They're the guys to see at zuva.net.au. And of course to you, Bernie. Got to have RRTV on the car. You guys do an awesome job.
Fantastic, yeah. Thanks for that. I appreciate that, that's for sure. And all right, Henry, thanks for coming in. We're doing a different style here tonight, short, sweet, and interviews to see if the viewers prefer those.
No worries, guys. Look forward to next week's Enduro.
No worries. See you, mate. Okay, Daniel, you have a choice. We can bring Marlon McMullen up or Danny.
Let's get Marlon up here. It'd be interesting just to have a chat to see how he's how he found things, especially being up so far in the front and slowly sort of finding down. It'd be interesting to see what went on there.
Okay, I'll bring him up.
G'day, Marlon. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Bit of an interesting race tonight. Looks like a few issues and that. How did you find things out there?
Yeah, g'day guys. I don't know, the car felt okay. I don't know if I was really feeling it today. I mean, I'm a little bit tired and all that, but at the end of the day, I just had to keep it out of trouble, and that's all I could do today, honestly, and pretty happy to get 7th actually in the end.
Yeah, it looked like it was a bit of a struggle out there starting in second tonight. Had a few issues there and sort of fell back. But did you find there was a big drop-off in performance tonight, or do you think it might have been just a case of maybe the setup not quite being in the sweet spot for yourself?
I don't know, honestly, because last week I sort of had the same issues with the brakes going on, so I don't know if I've got a bit of a pedal issue starting to develop. I mean, I've only got Logitech G27s. They're about 3 years old now, so I think they're starting to maybe start reaching their life limit. But at the end of the day, I don't really lock up the way I do, and I nearly hit poor Jake Maloney. No fault of his own, just because I couldn't control it a few times. So it's a little bit of overdriving. You're trying to brake a bit deeper, but I don't know. It just feels like it's kicking that extra couple of percent every now and again, like a flicker.
Yeah, well, you probably know it, but the hot tip's a bit of contact cleaner on the potentiometers for that might work. But one question the last question, because we're doing a new style format. Quick 3-question in and out, and see how things went. With the way the race did pan through, and we know you're currently sitting on top of the leaderboard as far as the points championships are concerned, did that sort of play a big part in your mind, sort of racking up those points to come home with a good finish at the end of this championship as well?
Yeah, I mean, last week Dane didn't unfortunately have one of the best runs, of his season, and he came 9th, so, that was right at the top of my head, and I knew at the end of the day if I could just come better than 9th, last week, and, pick up on his other couple of misfortunes, I should be right, hopefully, with the drop rounds. I'm not too sure how they work, if it's, 3 drop rounds at each championship or 1 drop round over the whole thing, but I think I'm hopefully, trying to do the job, and at the end of the day, it's not the way I really sort of want to go out there and race. I'd rather be at the front and giving it my best. But at the end of the day, it's always in the back of your mind. You don't want to bin it, and you don't want to be, you don't want to finish off this season like that.
No, not at all. But look, mate, you're doing a fantastic job adding all these points into the championship, and going to be a very hard contender to sort of knock off at the very end there. But before we let you get out of here, mate, we better get a quick shout out from all your sponsors on board tonight.
Yeah, this time I remember them. I got a bit of a hining last week. Thank you to West End Mazda, WP Concreting, Motion Performance Exhaust, I believe, and of course a fantastic digital photographer who takes some great iracing shots. I think it's GBH Images. So yeah, thank you to all those guys. We couldn't do it without their support, and at the end of the day, we're just trying to do the best job we can, and hopefully we'll see what happens in a couple of round time.
Fantastic. Well, again, congratulations on the result tonight. That puts you now at 15 top 10s for the championship on the quick maths, mate. So very consistent championship, and looking forward to seeing you hopefully take that out at the end of the season.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it was awesome battling Dane all season. He's a really hard competitor, and I've had to lift. And some days I've lifted, some days he's lifted harder than me. But throughout the whole season. It's been awesome, and it's carried over to the official series as well. So I'm really enjoying the fight with him. So maybe next season, you never know. I think he's a real contender, honestly.
Outstanding. Well, mate, look forward to seeing you out on track again next week and putting on another good show. We'll let you get out here and get a few hours of shut eye on that, and maybe get to work on them pedals a bit sooner.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
So our next interview, folks, is with Daniel Trim, and Daniel came home 12th, up 10 positions. Hi Danny, welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate. Pretty good result there, coming home in 12th position, up 10.
Yeah, look, could have been better, but we had a few incidents along the way, and first time when I pitted to get my fast repair, I was 4 laps short of fuel, so I had to take a second pit stop.
Okay.
So having to take that second pit stop shuffled me back a lot further than what I already should have finished anyway.
Yeah, well, it's still a pretty good result there. So, apart from the issue with the fuel, how did the rest of the race go for you?
I think I got spun 3 times in turn 3. First 2 was a couple of 3 wides where I was in the middle. No, couldn't go left, couldn't go right. The final one, I'm not sure if you caught it on the broadcast there. I haven't seen it myself. I know one of the guys, while I was just waiting here for the interview, had a quick look, and apparently I was in a line of 3, nose to tail, all in perfect line. Then the car that was 4th in line decided to stick his nose onto the inside, and apparently put a wheel on the grass. As I said, I haven't actually seen it myself yet. I'm just going on what one of your other interviewees had said.
Okay. No, I don't think we did pick that up, but yeah, the final question is tonight, as part of this quick shot barbecue, how did you find the driving out there tonight?
Look, for the track, I think it's standard. Where can you overtake in this track? You know you've got the pace, you know you've got the car under you, you're getting held up. You do that for 2-3 laps, the frustration tends to set in. You're going to send it, do you know what I mean? Especially if you're being held up.
Yeah, definitely. And we did see also earlier, the final question is, we saw one of your cars in between 2 MFR cars, and they had a pretty big coming together there, and one of them came off second best. So
I think that was me.
That was you, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, we did catch that. So we were saying, well, that was an interesting gang up.
Yes, I was the middle one in that.
So I guess, considering your team's ties to MFR, what do you do? Is that just a racing incident, or is there a debrief you guys go through?
Yeah, what we do is we go back, 1 or 2 of us from each team. We'll go back, look at the replay, then we'll get together, find the cause, the solution, then speak to those drivers and instruct them on how they could have done it differently or better, and that's how we all learn.
Yep, fair enough. So before we let you go, Danny, do you want to give a shout out to all your sponsors who's backed your car tonight?
Yes, well, firstly I'd like to give a bit of a congratulations to Marlon. His point lead in this series is something he should be really proud of. Shout out to the rest of the guys, and then yourself and the comms here, along with Daniel, and then sponsors, WP Concreting, West End Mazda, Blacktown and Parramatta, GDH iRacing Images and Designs, MF Race Art, Bendigo Motion Performance Exhaust.
Fantastic. Well, it was great having you up here once again, Danny, and of course you were in the driver's seat tonight, commentary seat last night, I think it was, weren't you? Yes, you were.
Yes.
Yeah. At least there was less yellows tonight than there was last night.
There was. I believe 17 yellows or something we had the count at.
Yeah, it was pretty high. All right, mate. We'll catch up with you again very soon.
No worries, guys. Thanks for the show.
There you go, Daniel. That was a pretty honest answer to that coming together of the MFR boys and their team.
Yeah, and it's it's good to see that it's not a point the finger type blame game with that sort of thing. Everyone can learn and improve on that, and especially when you've got feeder teams that are helping the main teams, it's you don't want to rock the boat too hard in that. So they do a good job there, and if you can point out a few things, maybe a lift here or a little bit more throttle here, everyone can learn, and it's only going to get better with time. The more they race around everything, the better they're going to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I tell you what, the chat room's lit up at the moment, and basically Thomas McMillan is calling Dane a pleb.
Yeah, well, for a pleb, he's doing pretty bloody good. So, look, he's doing phenomenally well. We know he's got the pace, and as mentioned earlier, if he can run a complete season, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him taking a championship next season.
Oh, definitely. And if the viewers are wondering what the heck's that all about, well, they're all mates are just stirring each other in the chat channel there, and they dared me to call Dane a pleb on air. I wasn't that game, because I'd probably be a pleb if I drove out there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Our final interview for tonight, folks, is Thomas Hinz. And Daniel, you have the privilege.
G'day, Thomas. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Good race result for yourself tonight. Give us a quick insight on how things went out for you.
I'll try and be quick, Daniel. I think I don't really do that very often with these things, but it was good fun. Started, I think, around about. Do I still have the thing open? I do. 6. Oh, well, there you go. I finished where I started. Didn't even see that towards then. So got a good quali, good lap in the top 10, which is good. Got the clean start. Obviously Ross and Pete had the little moment next to me, which is a little bit scary, but we got through that. Then just kept it clean. Had some really awesome battling with Marlon and Jordan throughout the race. So kudos to those guys. It was really good fun battling with them. When the second safety car was called, it was right on cue to take the stops. Obviously, as with everybody else, went in and got the stop. Came out more or less where I was. Just again kept it clean and got by Marlon in that last stint and just sort of kept the gap to him and Brian and held on to 6. So no, it was a good race, nice and clear mind at least, and good to get another solid result for the champ and all that.
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, you had a good run there with Brian and Marlon there, so that would have been a lot of fun for yourself.
Yeah. Well, no, it was good to. I think Marlon, by the sounds of it, he had a few woes there. He wasn't at his peak, that's for sure, from what I was seeing. But it was still good to have a battle with him. As I said, he was, I know he always races hard and clean, so it was really good to have a good little duel with him because he's usually a bit further up the road than me. So it's good to get the chance to have the battle with him, even if he was having issues. Good to battle him. And as I said, Jordan was the other one there in the early phase. We had a couple of good little moments there with him too. It was really cool battling with them again. And those guys usually are always top notch. I mean, they again to Scott's top split pretty often for a reason, so to be battling with that kind of quality was really, really good. I really enjoyed it overall, and Interlagos is a track I quite like, so it's a bit weird in the V8 because I'm used to driving downforce cars, so it's a bit weird in the V8 to drive around in, but still enjoy it, and produces some great racing, so it's good to have a good fun but hard fought run tonight.
Fantastic. And the final one, before obviously we get a shout out from all the sponsors on board. Mentioned it early on in the race, you like to jump around between a few different cars, as you mentioned, the downforce stuff, the GTs, the V8s, and the ovals. How do you find it, with all those cars in a week, getting accustomed to each one and getting something that works for your style?
I think I think a lot of it at this point for me is I'd done it for that long in terms of my style of sort of jumping to all these different cars and probably not. I don't tend to practice for a lot of series actually as much as others probably would. And I think because of the way I've just done it for so long, I've started getting a style of getting used to these cars probably maybe quicker than others do. So I probably reach my peak a little bit quicker than others do, which may not necessarily be a good thing because it means that I sort of flatline out a little bit sooner than others rather than continuing to go up a bit. So I actually don't know, to be honest. I think I've just been doing it for that long that it's just it's just become normal at this point, because I've been doing the same thing for most of the time I've done sim racing, which is about 3 years now, competitively anyway. So yeah, no, I think just having done it for so long, it's just become the natural mode that I've gotten used to, jumping into all these different cars and just slowly just getting adjusting to them as quick as I can, and then going from there. Because yeah, as long as it's a race car, I tend to race it. Well, not even a race car, as long as it's a transportation vehicle that races. I'm usually keen. So no, it's a different style. I know not many others don't think. Well, not as many people wouldn't do it to the extent I do in terms of the variety that I race. But it's how I enjoy racing, and as long as I'm enjoying it, that's all that matters to me, really. So.
Fantastic. Well, look, before we let you get out here, Thomas, go celebrate a great result. You better get a quick shout out from all the sponsors on board, mate.
Yeah, indeed. So, of course, the big one we have recently, Waxit. Big thanks to them for jumping on board with the team. They've been awesome, jumping on board with us and having their really awesome sponsorship on the cars has been really cool. Having that lovely look on the cars with a fresh new look, which is really cool. And big thanks to them as always for jumping on board recently, and certainly having a really nice fleet of Waxit machines now in the various series that the team does. GTI, Kiani and Race Centre, as per usual. Big thanks to them for supporting us for quite a long while now, and continued support is very much appreciated. And again, as always, the team, always awesome bunch of blokes. So really appreciate just the work they do, and just having that awesome team feeling we have in there is really, really helpful, and I think a big help for me for getting the most out of each race. And as always, big thanks to you guys for the broadcast and all the awesome work you guys do as well. So thanks for that.
Cheers, mate. Well, again, congratulations on the finish. We'll look forward to seeing you back out on track again in multiple different series next week. And yeah, we'll let you get out of here and have a good, enjoyable Friday night for yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Fantastic. Well, that was our final interview, and a bit of a shout out to all the guys over there in the chat channel having a great time. Basically, we've got your feedback, and as of next week, TeamSpeak will be retired and will be broadcasting on the RRTV Discord server, and hopefully that'll be not only clearer, but we'll also be able to get more plebs up here for interviews.
Yeah, well, that'll be good fun. We better say a quick shout out to Simon Mazzomo's mum. Hi, Simon's mum. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. If Simon hasn't linked you to the video, Simon, you better get on board and hurry up and do that.
Fantastic. Hi, Simon's mum. There you go. That's my shout out. Looking at the weekend ahead, though, folks, getting back to a bit more serious business. Sunday night, the Australasian Super Skips will be back on RRTV. That's our next broadcast. And, of course, that's followed by Monday night for the Monday Night Lights. So get a couple of days rest now, and then we'll start our broadcasting again for next week.
Yeah, so, well, we got a bit of one final job to do, I should say, before we say goodnight to everyone here, and that is crown a driver of the night between yourself and I, so they can get an extra entry into the awesome Pagnium Next Level GT F1 simulator that's put up for the prize tonight.
I've already nominated. Okay,
well, we know yours. Yes, Jake Maloney. I reckon, for what Jake did out there, phenomenal drive. I would have to probably go the same. I don't think you could give it to anyone else. 34, 38 spots at the end of the night. That's a massive drive. So hats off to Jake. He will claim the drive of the night from both of us here.
Man, you folded. I was expecting a debate. That was not a debate. That was just you agreeing.
Yeah, look, you're probably right. I mean, look, the only other one that I would consider to be up there as well would be David Vassell. Up 24 spots again, another big effort. So I reckon between those two, and to come home 34 spots up, finish in third with a short fuel stop, save as much fuel as he did at the end there. I don't think he can go far past what Jake did, though.
No, definitely not. I was just stirring you up to see if we could get a bit of a debate happening up here. But yeah, that was quite an interesting race, really, wasn't it, Daniel? Have you got any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think it's it's something we covered off a lot. The driving standards are getting a lot better here. this was a track similar to what Monza was, where you do get a lot of issues, especially in the first couple of corners. So we saw that with 3 safety cars, but after that and the field started stretching out, I was surprised there weren't as many guys, maybe a little bit closer to where we saw Dane and Mitchell there, but at the end of the day, generally, the racing was good. We had some great little packs on there, so yeah, it was excellent.
Yeah, it definitely was. There's some good hard racing out there, quite a bit of action as well, and pit strategy, so that was awesome racing. And of course the AOSC will be back next Friday night. I'm not sure where we will be, and if it's another sprint round.
Actually, that's a good question. I'm not too sure myself either, but we'll have to have a look. I have a feeling it might be a sprint, but don't hold me 100% to that.
Yeah, I think we've got one more Enduro coming up, and I think this part of the season's more sprint rounds because, of course, on the other Supercar championships have been having a few of the Enduros, so I think they've Nick's been trying to mix it up a little bit on this end. But anyway, wherever we are next week, folks, hopefully you can join us and have another good time with us and the V8 Supercar teams taking it out on each other. But until then, Daniel, thanks once more, mate, for coming into the Combox and commentating. It's always a pleasure, and I think next week you're going to be having a bit of a rest.
Yeah, I won't be here next week, which is going to be actually interesting. I've just looked up the calendar to see where we're at. It's a 650 at Phillip Island, so one of the final Enduros. I think we got to Phillip Island and Bathurst to wrap out the season for the Enduros, so it's going to be a long race. But yeah, I won't be here, unfortunately. Got a work commitment to attend to on the Friday night, but be able to tune in and hope everything goes well and maybe stir up a bit of interest in the chat.
Yeah, I'm thinking you timed that well. But anyway, whoever is in here, I'm sure they'll enjoy it, and hopefully the viewers will too. But anyway, enjoy your work next week, Daniel, and I'll look forward to seeing your cheekiness in the chat. But until then, folks, have a great weekend. Hopefully you'll join us back Sunday night if you can't make it through the week, and if not, maybe we'll catch up again next Friday. But either way, have a great weekend, have a safe work week, and say hello to your mum for me, I guess.
Great Rove segue right there. But yes, thank you to all the viewers that turned up, and we'll let you all head off and enjoy the remainder of your Friday night.
Yep, good night.